kids have been playing their instruments for only about 10 weeks. And so they haven't really had a lot of time to learn an instrument, because learning to play an instrument is a slow, long-term process. So they have to work at it quite a bit. But I think when you hear what they're doing, they sound pretty good, and I think you're going to enjoy the songs that they're going to play for you. Before we start, though, they're going to demonstrate their instruments so that you can see what kind of instruments they're playing up here. And you will be able to hear those individual instruments, and then we'll play all together so you can hear how it sounds when we mix all of the instruments together. So first, I want the flutes to stand up and hold up their flute. Now, who knows what kind of instrument, what family the flute belongs to? You had your hand up first. Woodwind, that's right. It's a woodwind instrument. And we can tell woodwind instruments because they have these keys on the side. Those keys cover holes. All woodwind instruments have holes in the side of the instrument. Somewhere down through there they have holes that are open. And then fingers or keys that cover those holes. Flutes have a seat. And we're going to hear them play a song, okay? Level of the pop that's in the bottle, you can change the pitch. And that's kind of what they're doing with their fingers. They're changing the level of how far the air is traveling. That's how it changes the pitch. And another woodwind instrument is the saxophone. Stand up and show them your saxophone, Garrett. There it is. Whoa, that's pretty cool. Now some people think that the saxophone is a brass instrument, but it's not. If you look closely, you see all those keys in the side of the instrument. And that means that there's holes underneath those keys. And those holes tell us that that's a woodwind instrument. So the saxophone is also a little different from the flute. He doesn't have a hole that he blows into. He has a reed on a mouthpiece. Can you turn it around and let us see the reed? There it is. See way up here at the top. This is the saxophone reed right here. And when he blows into that mouthpiece, it makes that reed vibrate, and that's what makes the sound. Have a seat, Jared, and play for us, okay? Whoop, something's wrong here. I need to check your fingers. You got an extra key push. Nope, not every reed. Yeah, okay, got it? All right, now he's going to start it. Stand up and hold up their instruments. Now, she also hold up their reeds so everybody can see the reeds. Here are the reeds that they use. You notice that they look quite different than the saxophone reed. That's what we call a double reed because it's two pieces of wood that are tied together, and then they put that down into the top of the oboe, and when they blow through those two pieces of wood, they both vibrate, and that's what makes the sound. Go ahead, have a seat. And they're going to play. And you notice that now they have to put their beads in, and you can also see that they have keys, which means there's holes in the side that makes it a woodwind instrument. Let's listen to them again. That's why in bands, you usually only have 2 or 3 oboes. You can see there's lots of flutes there, and that's because flutes are a little quieter instrument, aren't they? And so we have lots of flute players, but we only have a couple of oboe players. Here we have 3. And then you also notice that Jared's saxophone got a pretty loud sound too, didn't it? So usually we only have, maybe 3 or 4 saxophones in a band. Right today we only happen to have 1, but sometimes we like to have 3 or 4. So we have to have a kind of nice balance of instruments to make up our band. Another woodwind instrument. This is our last member of the woodwind family that we have here today. Are the clarinet players. Clarinet players, would you stand up please and show them your instrument? Okay, now you can actually see the holes in the side of the clarinet. You see those rings down the side, and underneath those rings, those are holes. And they have to cover those holes with their fingers. Turn it around, clarinet, so you can see your reed. And there you can see their reed up at the very top. And that looks a lot like the saxophone reed, only it's a little bit smaller than the saxophone reed. And, well, it has a silver piece. But the reed itself is wood, just like the saxophone. Okay, so clarinets are going to play for us, so let's hear how they sound. Good job, clarinet. Okay, we're going to move to the percussion instruments. Who can tell me something about percussion instruments? Yes, sir. Say that again. Yeah, you have to hit something, don't you? Percussion instruments have to be hit in order to play. What? They are made by vibrations. Sometimes it's a bell that vibrates, sometimes it's a head that vibrates. You're going to see them play a couple different things, but the first thing you're going to hear them play is their bells. Percussion, when you hold up your bells, or I show you do that. Yep, now take it forward. There you go. So you see that they look like a keyboard. They look like a piano keyboard. And they have mallets that they hit those bars with, and that's what makes the sound. Go ahead and put those down, percussion. Okay, so let's listen to them play a song. There you go. That's their drum pad. And that drum pad simulates or acts like their snare drum. They also have a snare drum at home. But their drum pad is a little bit softer, quieter, and it's easier and lighter to carry with them back and forth to school because the snare drum is kind of heavy. So they play at school on their pad. And maybe a little bit later this year, if you come to hear them in concert, you can play their snare drums. Okay, you can say the pad shot. All right, we're going to move to the brass instruments, and we're going to have the cornets stand up and show us their cornet. Okay, so there's the cornet. Now, this is our first brass instrument. Could you guys turn the mouthpiece towards the students so they can see? If you look and point to the mouthpiece, right where it's at. Yeah. You see that part? That's the part they blow into. That's called the mouthpiece. And it's shaped like a cup, but it has a hole in the bottom for the air to go through. And all brass instruments are basically the same. They're a solid tube that goes from where they blow into to where it comes out. Turn it around so you can see the bell. That's where the sound comes out. There are no holes in between where they blow into and where the sound comes out. So that's a characteristic of a brass instrument. They all have that cup mouthpiece, and they're all just a solid tube that they blow through. Now, they don't have a reed that vibrates. Their lip does the vibrating. For all brass instruments, their lip vibrates inside that cup mouthpiece, and that's what makes the sound, the vibrations. Go ahead and have some more hands to play with. and go out and hunt whatever animal they were after. And then if they found that animal, they would take the horn off their shoulder and they would blow a blast, and all the other hunters would know that they found a herd of animals. And so that's how the horn came to be. Now, there's no more hole down the middle of that circle because there's all kinds of other tubing in there. But in the old days, it would just be a circle. All right, let's have the French horn sit down, and they're going to play so you can hear how they sound. But French horn can also play very high, and it has a very big range. It can play a long range. So they were playing that down low, but they can also play that same thing quite a bit higher. They do a pretty good job with that. Stand up, Noah. Now, Noah's all by his lonesome here today because he has two other trombone players that are usually with him, but they're ill today. They're sick. So they had to go home. So hold up your trombone. That's pretty long, man. Now, show them the mouthpiece. So you see the mouthpiece. It's quite a bit bigger than the French horn or the cornet. And also, you see that the bell is not quite as large as the French horn. Turn it around. Let us see the bell. Okay, so it's not as large as the French horn bell, but it still can play pretty low. Move the slide out for them. That's the difference between trombone and any other brass instrument, is it has a slide. No other brass instrument has that. And that means trombone can do some pretty cool things. Okay, so it's a nice brass instrument. Let's listen to the trombone play. That's called the baritone horn. Some people think it's a tuba, but it's about half the size, maybe a little bit less than a tuba. And so the baritone horn sounds pretty much just in the same range as the trombone that you just heard, but it has a different tone quality. And it's played differently. You see, it has valves like the cornet. I didn't talk about the cornet valves, but you see, she has buttons to push that make the different sounds, just like the cornets did. And just like the French horns, but you probably couldn't see those on the French horns where you're sitting. So you can see her mouthpiece. The mouthpiece is the same size as the trombone mouthpiece. And turn it over so you can see your bell. And you notice that that bell's pretty big, isn't it? A lot bigger than the trombone bell. Yeah. Okay, so let's listen to this brass instrument, the baritone horn. here's how it sounds. Audience members, good audience listeners. Okay, so that was Marietta Little Lamb, of course, that they've all been playing for you. Now you've heard it from the full band. We're going to play another song that is called Go Tell Aunt Rhody. And I keep telling the band I like to call it Go Tell Aunt Carol because I don't have an Aunt Rhody, I have an Aunt Carol. Okay? Percussion, I forgot. Change. Okay, this next tune in our book is called A Mozart Melody, but I want you to tell me after we're done what the real name